We live in challenging times that force us all to create new ideas, go new ways and find new solutions. This is true for the more recent challenges like COVID and its implication. But it's very true for the fundamental change, sustainability. With that, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome from Hamburg. I'm Roland Harings, CEO of Aurubis, and it's an honor for me to talk to you today at the first virtual Coil show. And about a subject that is really close to my heart: sustainability in the copper life cycle. Sustainability, in my view, isn't just one other topic. It's here to stay, and it will change our life and how we do business. Before we jump right into the topic, I would like to give you a brief introduction to Aurubis. We are a producer in Europe, a large copper producer and a global market leader in copper recycling. We responsibly produce more than 1 million tons of copper cathodes each year. Already today, statistically, more than 1 out of 3 cathodes are made from recycling materials. Most of our cathodes go into semi-finished products like wire rod, shapes and the flat-rolled industry. With our integrated network of smelters and wire rod plants, we offer a reliable supply for our clients. It is a matter of course for us that we adhere to highest environmental standards and live up to our social responsibility to contribute to a sustainable value and supply chain. We provide solutions to the semi-finished product industry and unlock the value of closing the loop partnerships with the downstream industry and also with OEMs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to take you with me on a virtual journey today, to give you a glimpse as to where the copper industry stands in terms of sustainability and sustainable growth. To make it a bit more concrete, I also brought with me some examples Aurubis is working on in the field of sustainability. But before we fasten our seatbelt and prepare for takeoff, I would like to broaden the perspective. Why does the world need our metals? In our latest annual report, we asked Danielle Laporta this question. She is a senior mining specialist at the World Bank. Her answer was: renewable energy technologies are key to reaching a net zero emission future. They are more mineral intensive than their fossil fuel counterparts. As a rule of thumb, the greater our climate ambitions, the more minerals and metals will be needed. Having the EU Green Deal in mind, I would argue that the ambitions are quite challenging. 22 million tons of copper will be needed for the transition to a climate-neutral European economy in 2050. This is according to the International Copper Association. Without enough minerals and metals, a low-carbon future will not be possible. In a circular economy, this is a task for the entire value chain. Ladies and gentlemen, the good thing is copper is here to stay. This is mainly thanks to its unlimited or infinite recyclability without losing its unique characteristics. But the great thing, copper is also here to make the world smarter, cleaner and more efficient. Some examples. Did you know that for every kilogram of copper used in a motor, 3 tons less CO2 are produced? And for 1 ton of copper in electrical systems, they could deliver a lifetime saving of up to 7,500 tons of CO2. Buildings account for about 40% of the primary energy consumption throughout the world. The more copper that is used in a building, the more energy efficient it is. In other words, thanks to copper, you can do more with less. All of us working with the metal copper create the basis for the modern world. The characteristics of copper make good products even better. In short, copper makes the world more sustainable. We are also in an ongoing dialogue with policymakers There's an increasing understanding that to reach the ambitious Green Deal targets in Europe, we need the right metals available here in Europe. As a consequence, we strongly support the European Raw Material Alliance. This initiative of the EU Commissioner for Economic Affairs pursues the goal of securing the volumes of raw materials Europe needs to implement the Green Deal. From this angle, we also see development towards a more circular economy as an important way forward. We as a society need to take care of valuable raw materials and, especially here in Europe, secure them. Therefore, in our strategic approach, in our sustainability strategy, we as Aurubis defined the target of establishing more and more closing the loop partnerships with the downstream industry and with OEMs. When talking about copper production in Europe, one topic is essential: the need for the responsible handling of energy and the associated CO2 emissions. The truth is, yes, we are an energy-intensive industry, and this will certainly be true for the future. So, the global copper industry has done some of its homework, but there is still room for further improvement. Later, I'll show you some initiatives that make our footprint even smaller. We at Aurubis are committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions in accordance with the Paris Climate Agreement and fully support the goal of the European Union to become climate neutral by 2050. Consequently, Aurubis has affirmed the Science-Based Targets initiative. I'm personally convinced that we must make our production as climate neutral as possible and as soon as possible. But we also need policymakers that create a coherence between climate, circular economy, chemical and trade policies. This ensures regulatory predictability and investment certainty for the copper industry, so that we, as an industry, can accelerate our decarbonization strategy while remaining competitive and profitable. Yet, a sustainable future will only be achieved if the whole value chain works together, taking responsibility and sharing the burden. This includes, obviously, the upstream industry. Because the rising significance of environmental, social and governance requirements makes it increasingly difficult to operate a smelter with treatment and refining charges that are neither fair nor sustainable. And this also includes the downstream industry, for example, when it comes to a product design to enable recycling or the topic of transparency. There is no doubt that society will increasingly ask for products that are produced in a sustainable manner throughout the whole value chain. And they will ask for more transparency and certification. The development towards transparency is here to stay. Aurubis, as a publicly listed company, already offers a wide range of information to our various stakeholders. Apart from that, we are receiving more and more questions concerning sustainability issues from the public, capital market participants, suppliers, and increasingly from clients and OEMs. As I already stressed, we are interested to join your sustainability dialogue. We want to increase transparency in the value chain concerning what is technically and also economically feasible, to discuss what is socially responsible, and to facilitate the discussion concerning the carbon footprint and recycling quotas of individual products. In the back, you also see some ratings and rankings that review our sustainability efforts regularly. And we even went one step further by issuing an ESG-linked Schuldschein loan last year. Its conditions are dependent on our ongoing sustainability achievements. We walk the talk. With that, let's turn the spotlight to market developments and sustainability implication. I'm convinced we are moving into the age of metals. Over the next decade, Research Institute Wood Mackenzie forecasts refined copper consumption to grow by around 25% in total. This translates to an increase of almost 6 million tons of refined copper in 2030 compared with today. Until 2040, the demand will continuously rise, especially in sectors like transport, electrical network, and construction. An increasing part of all copper consumed is contributed by the recycling sector. Despite that, we'll need primary material floating into the system in the future as well. Because so far, volumes coming from recycling alone aren't sufficient to satisfy global demand. And there are excellent examples in the mining industry, working under the highest environmental and social standards possible. There are several drivers behind copper demand growth linked to sustainable developments that make the world cleaner and more efficient, like e-mobility, renewables, smart homes, and the corresponding infrastructure. Let's stay with renewables for a moment. Copper is used extensively in all renewable energy technologies, such as onshore and offshore wind turbines and photovoltaic plants. Perhaps the most copper-intensive application is within high voltage cables, connecting individual turbines to the substation and the substation to the grid. Again, there can be no energy transition without copper. Metals, therefore, make a considerable contribution to technologies that improve the CO2 balance. Due to the high copper intensity of wind turbines and PVs and their cabling, the red metal will increasingly benefit from the development towards renewables. It is set for impressive growth in the coming decades. Besides the frontrunner, Europe, China's growth in renewable energy is forecast to strongly increase by 300% over the next 10 years. This is according to the research company CRU. The US is also expected to boost demand under the presidency of Joe Biden. CRU sees this year's copper demand of 640,000 tons from renewables doubling by 2025 and even reaching 1.4 million tons by 2030. In addition to renewables, the associated transmission systems will also need copper. Here in Germany, for example, the Südlink and the Südostlink connection, each with a length of about 500 kilometers of copper cable. Let's summarize for a second. First, in the age of metal, copper is perfectly positioned to serve the needs of our future society, especially when it comes to decarbonization solutions. Second, the copper industry is an important player to make the change towards a cleaner future happen. Third, there are plenty of growth opportunities, especially when it comes to the circular economy and closing the loop partnerships, if the political framework for global competition are set and reliable and the value chain acts in a sustainable manner. Meaning that different steps of the supply chain need to enter joint discussion to ensure a rather end-to-end approach and to gain clarity on what is feasible and what is not. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we have outlined the broader picture, I would like to introduce you to some Aurubis projects in the area of sustainability. Today, I'm standing here in the Alte Schlosserei event hall in Hamburg, in Germany, where our group headquarters and one of our primary smelters are located. I'm also less than 5 kilometers away from the city hall of this metropolis of 2 million inhabitants in the heart of Europe. If you run an industrial production here, you need to go the extra mile when it comes to environmental protection measures. In line with our sustainability strategy, we are investing continuously in environmental facilities at all our sites. Since 2000, we have invested more than 630 million euros for environmental protection measures alone. Here in Hamburg, we are currently focusing on reducing dust emissions. The picture in the background illustrates the project. The planned investment of around 100 million euro over the next 2 years will mainly flow into extraction and filter systems. When these investments are fully implemented, we will reduce the dust emissions again by more than 70%. Fostering sustainability in the copper industry also means searching for new solutions. An example that has won several awards is our industrial heat project in Hamburg. Here, we provide industrial heat that we otherwise can't effectively use in production. So it's actually a closing the loop project. In the first step, we are heating the new city district Hafen City East here in Hamburg. With this project, we already save around 20,000 tons of CO2 annually. But we can do more. The complete project has the potential to save up to 140,000 tons of CO2 every year. We are now working closely with the city of Hamburg to implement this project. A hot topic these days is the use of hydrogen. We are also currently investigating how to replace even more fossil fuels. As mentioned, the use of hydrogen instead of natural gas, but also implement more heat recovery systems and install also renewable energy equipment. With these innovative examples, we show how the copper industry can, or better, must be part of the solution to climate change. And sustainability aspects also drive other Aurubis sites. Welcome to Pirdop, home of our second primary smelter. Here at our site in Bulgaria, our preparations are underway to obtain the copper mark. The copper mark is a new assurance framework in the copper industry. It proves that copper has been produced responsibly throughout the value chain. It is based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We, as Aurubis, fully support the idea of the copper mark. It is consistent with our company's values of acting and working responsibly. In addition, expectations are growing in the political world, in the business community, and in society for being able to certify responsible production, including also the copper industry. While we fulfill international standards that apply to gold and silver for the responsible production of these materials, nothing comparable had existed for copper production so far. Therefore, the copper mark closes an important gap, and we hope that our participation will continue the cascading effect on the industry. Now, let's turn the spotlight to recycling. Welcome to Berze, welcome to Metallo. We recently acquired the Belgium-Spanish recycling specialist. Metallo and Aurubis together have the capacity to process 1 million tons of recycling materials annually. Recycling is crucial for the sustainable society, not only in terms of the circular economy, but also in terms of energy consumption. According to the International Copper Association, recycling saves up to 85% of the energy and about 60% of the CO2 emissions that arise in copper production from primary raw materials. The add-ons of Metallo technologies and expertise to those of Aurubis will also allow us to treat even higher volume of complex input materials. As a result, we will return even more base metal to the industry. This also in fields where we haven't been that strong in the past, like tin, for example. Therefore, the merger, the combination of both companies, is great news for the copper recycling industry and also for Europe. In the future, we at Aurubis will continue to expand our capabilities and capacities for recycling important industrial and precious metal, and therefore extend our multi-metal portfolio. We have the ambition to be the preferred business partner for our direct clients as well as for OEMs. We offer recycling solutions for various metals, not only for copper. And with our business model of copper on account, We also offer financing solutions tailored to your needs, even if you're not our direct customer, but only further in the downstream production. So the combination of the strengths of Aurubis and Metallo offer new and more integrated possibilities for various participants of the value chain. The next step on our journey is Berlin, or to be more precise, Fair-Berlin, near Berlin. Here it's also all about recycling. With our subsidiary Caplo, we dismantle and recycle old copper and aluminium cables and produce high-quality metal granules. Here we also manufacture plastic products from cable insulation. Last November, we announced that Caplo will join forces with TSR's cable dismantling activities. In our eyes, a perfect fit to grow the cable recycling business together with a strong partner. Through the joint venture, we will increase the amount of feedstock and create solutions for the plastic materials generated in recycling. Because plastic is a major challenge in cable waste recycling today. As we already discussed, the Green Deal of the European Commission envisions a circular economy instead of a linear one. A sustainable raw material base requires European know-how and production facilities within the EU. And with Caplo GmbH, we are making an important contribution to an even stronger European circular economy. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, today's journey comes now to an end. I hope you enjoyed the short update on our sustainability initiatives. I now hand back over to the moderator.
Thank you so much for the interesting insights so far. You already touched the topic of hydrogen and that Aurubis is working on this front to reduce CO2 emission in the process. Could you please elaborate a bit more on this?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. CO2 is generally formed during the copper production. We are using natural gas to deoxide to take the excess oxygen out of the liquid copper. However, additional to this oxide, to this carbon dioxide, also steam is exiting the process. Replacing the natural gas with green hydrogen as a reducing agent would eliminate these CO2 emissions, leaving only the steam as a gas out of the process. We are currently researching this use of hydrogen, of green hydrogen, in our process, and we will run an industrial scale trial in the first half of this calendar year. There are other opportunities to use hydrogen. However, it's always under the condition that the overall conditions will make us competitive and also profitable while switching from fossil-based, from natural gas to hydrogen.
Excellent. And I have one more question from the audience. It is the second and final question for today, but responsible sourcing is quite high on the agenda of several stakeholders today. What are you doing in this field?
Yeah, that's a very crucial point. And I stressed during my speech that we have the aim to strengthen the responsible sourcing across the whole sector. Sourcing responsibility is really a key and it's of highest importance for us. It's true for downstream, but as true also for the upstream industry. Therefore, also explained that we are very supportive with implementing the Copper Mark certification, which is based on 32 sustainability criteria. We favor business partners that demonstrate the same dedication to sustainability. To uncover, to identify certain risks or improvement potential, we have introduced, as we call it, a business partner screening. We want to know with whom we do business. And if we recognize some issues, we use our influence, we use our knowledge to have a positive impact. At the same time, to support, we have published a business partner code of conduct in where we write down and document our sustainable standards and encourage our business partner to comply with those. So The progress in this side is very good, and we are proud of these achievements and the journey that we have begun with our business partners.
Some of the business partners would have probably been listening right now. It was a very interesting insight. Thank you so much for that, for sharing your mind with us.
Thanks again for having me. Our commercial team is always at your service. And you can visit us now at the booth here at the virtual Coil show. We are happy to answer all of your questions. And clearly, thank you for being our business partners. We are looking forward to working with you in the future. So, looking at these difficult days still, please stay healthy and also enjoy the rest of the Coil show.